Hey guys, welcome back. This time, yes, yet again we have Thomas. He keeps winning or being in the second place every single time. This time he was second place in the EU seasonal Smackdown organized by Janslayer. So how are you doing, Thomas?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
And I am glad to see you are showing in the last weeks a lot of consistency. Like you are either winning the tournaments or making top two very consistently. So do you have high expectations to actually replicate this in the seasonal?
I mean, I hope I will, but it's still game of chance, right? So there's nothing certain, but I hope I will.
Do you want to experiment a bit in this seasonal since you're already qualified, or do you still want to go full try hard mode? Let's win two seasonals in a row.
I think I still take it as a training for the world, so I will definitely try hard.
Oh, awesome! So everyone that is playing in the seasonal already, watch out for Thomas. So let's see what decks did you actually bring to the tournament. And the first one, classic. You are bringing it kind of every single time. Discard aggro. Is it still the best aggro deck that is around?
I mean, for me, definitely, it's still the best aggro deck. It's the best aggro deck to beat other aggro decks. It has a really good backup mechanism of augmented. So yeah, I think it's still the best aggro deck.
Awesome. Since we've been talking about this deck endlessly with you, with Simon, with Dalton, with everyone, really, what's kind of the evolution of this card aggro in this meta? How did it rise in popularity, or why did it rise in popularity?
So I think the first thing is beating other aggros, and second thing is beating stuff like IRL or Severe, that are basically the best decks, right, in the meta. So yeah, basically to beat Ionia Shurima.
All right. Did you see any important changes in the deck? Did we see any important changes? Cards added, cards removed in the deck, or is it still pretty standard, pretty obvious how you wanna build it?
I think interesting one is still having the one Ramage that got nerfed. I think it's still important, so you can bluff it or play for the level up Jinx early. And second thing, I think is triple power cannon that is needed in this meta if you want to keep playing around the elusive wincons of enemies.
Awesome. Sometimes I see people running survival skills. How do you feel about survival skills, or do you think it's relevant enough to include it as a tech, maybe?
I think it's survival skills is a reasonable card for the deck. It's really good one-off in the tournaments, so people have to play around it. Uh, I tried it a bit, but it didn't feel that amazing. But I think it's something to consider for sure.
And looking at your one drop, still on the double Draven's biggest fan, one of Legendary Guard. Isn't Draven's biggest fan still Clankly because now TFSN is coming back into the meta? A lot of Borcentic wipe decks are being around.
Yeah, for my newer version, I cut it to one Dragon's biggest fan for second right guard, because of the TF Swain as well, but also for the Plunder matchup. That is not really good for the Jinx. In my opinion, still favorite because I think Plunder still loses to aggro, but it's not that good. So yeah, I added one right guard instead of the biggest fan.
Since you're mentioning the matchup, what does the discard dagger player have to do in order to win the plunder matchup, which is not quite that easy?
So one way of winning is to have a basically burst way of getting minions onto the board to play the crowd, or bait out the make it rain and ice shards early so you can swarm later, or basically the plunder needs to kill the Jinx for sure, right? So if he doesn't, that's another win con that you can win with Jinx.
Alright, how about TFSN? Because that matchup is definitely tricky because they can basically remove everything you have. So what's your win condition? Them drawing badly, or is there something more to that?
Well, I think it is them drawing badly, but I don't think it's that hard for them to draw badly because I think Tier Swain is known to have a lot of bricked hands, especially with the Swain and the boats. So yeah, me personally, I don't like the deck, and also you can win just by the deck not having any heals. and just smorg him down.
Alright. Any tips for people that would like to play discard aggro in seasonal? Because just tonight it's going to be the seasonal cutoff and we're gonna know who's gonna play who's not. So what should they keep in mind when playing discard?
That people shouldn't think about it as a normal aggro, but aggro with a combo potential in the late game.
And what part of the combo side should they pay attention to, or how should they play the combo side?
Well, basically there are two things for the combo. That is bursts, basically burst swarm, or the level upping the Jinx, or getting the rocket in the same turn as Jinx level up, stuff like that. So it's just not about the aggression in the early game, but you can easily win in the late game thanks to the augmented and leveled up Jinx.
Since you mentioned getting the rocket in the same turn, that's where Poro Cannons and Ramages come in play, because you need to know that if you Ramage, your whole hand Jinx levels up and you manage to play the cards that you get the Jinx rocket, and if you have mana you can play it. Same with Poro Cannon if you play the Poros.
Exactly.
Alright, and from one deck that has been a staple and has been with us since forever, to this bullshit. You are bringing Lulu Zed, and why do I do have to make people's life so miserable? Well, jokes aside, why is it so good?
Well, it's definitely a meta call against the Severe, and it's pretty good against Lee as well. But other than that, I don't think the deck is that good. I basically brought it because I wanted to try it. It felt really dependent on the attack token and on drawing the champions. So me personally, I didn't like the deck because of its inconsistency, but it's definitely meta call.
Alright, did you get to face the matchups that you mentioned? Did you get to face Lee or Sivir, or did you find something that theoretically should counter it?
I think I faced Lee once. I think I won it. I'm not sure, but I think so. But I didn't meet any Severe.
Alright, what else is Lulu Zed good against or has legs against?
Well, I think it's interesting aggro that can play a bit like a scout and can outplay control decks thanks to the rallies. So I think it's a really interesting matchup there. I think it's not good against aggros. It's definitely not good against stuff like Draven Ezreal or the TF Swain that has a lot of removals, because you cannot smorg them down because you don't have any burn and you are really dependent on the board. But yeah, it's okay deck, but as I said, I don't like that it's not that consistent.
And if people would like to bring this deck, the same as discard aggro, what should they keep in mind when playing this deck? Or what's your takes from trying and testing the deck in the EU Smackdown?
I think it's important to protect your champions if you have some, meaning you don't go just 1, 2, 3. If the enemy has a way of dealing with your champion on 3, you rather skip turn 2 and keep something like Twin Disciplines, or skip turn 1 and keep something like Resolve to protect your champions.
And do you think you need more Rangers Resolve if you really want to bring the deck to the table in a tournament? Maybe go to 2 Rangers Resolve?
I think 2 Ranger Resolve can be clunky. I like the one-off because people have to play around it. It's not really something that is needed. I would more consider something like minus Ghost and third Twin Discipline, because for 2 mana gaining 3 health on your champion is really good. But I think one of Resolve is just fine.
And one tech that I don't think I've seen being played, or maybe because it's a one-off you do not see that consistently, is Fey Guide. Why do we run one of Fey Guide?
It's I think it's staple in the deck, but the one-off is there again for the same reason Ghost is. But it makes the champion elusive basically forever until the champion dies. So if you have a hand where you want to win with Lulu or with Zed, you can basically make the elusive one of them, so they are forced to kill it, and you can play the another one. So you can basically bait out removals with it.
Nice. This deck does give off some Lulu Jinx vibes. Is it true or am I just smoking?
Well, the issue is that this doesn't have any burn in form of get excited or level up Jinx. So I would say it's more like a scout, like fast scouts, rather than Lulu Jinx.
And what does it bring to the table that Scouts does not, and what does it lack that Scouts has?
Well, Scout has more late game and more sustain, and Lulu is more aggressive and can win with other ways than just rally your board. And I think it's more dependent on the attack token, because the difference between having attack token on first in this deck and not having it is really insane.
So Scouts could be able to get back into the game even though they do not have the attack token on one.
Yeah, exactly. Because this deck also has a problem with a draw. It literally spits out the hand really fast, and the only draw being a Shadow Assassin is most of the time not enough.
Well, that's what you need to keep in mind, folks. If you're playing the deck, you do not have that much draw. You need to finish the game fast, and if you get a clunky hand, you might be done for. But yeah, we have discard aggro and Lulu Zed. And what did you want to try to target, or did you want to try to target anything because you said you wanted to try the Lulu Zed?
Yeah, I wanted again target Severe. I wanted to try the Lulu and see how it's good against the Lee. So it wasn't like all around targeting. This time I just wanted to try the deck and get the discard aggro with it.
And how was your road towards the final?
So I think I had really bad matchups for me. I don't remember them all. I know I had lead, which was really good. The game with the Shen was really interesting. It was really toe to toe, and I thought it was really bad matchup. In the end, I managed to win it. So yeah, the road was really interesting, but mostly I felt basically countered, and yeah, I didn't like having the Lulu Zed.
Were you hunted at all times? Like every time, was it a counter lineup that you were playing against?
I don't think it was every time, but it was. I think it was most of the time. Yeah.
All right, was that the case in the final as well?
In the finals, Ball was playing the. I think it was the Raven Riven. I have no idea how the matchups are there, and I'm not sure about the second deck.
I think it was Shurima
Because
Viego, if I remember correctly. If not,
oh yeah, the Shurima Viego. Yeah, I think the Shurima Viego is rather really good against me. Because it is playing the Valfeeds, it is playing the Scrying Sands, it is playing the all these stuff that are good against Aggros, right? I felt fine with Raven Jinx against it, but yeah, Lulu struggled a lot.
I mean, it makes sense because you explained before. It's at the end of the day, Demacia Ionia, that's a fair deck, can only win through board. No burn, nothing involved there.
Yeah.
Alright, did you get to practice with someone, or did you practice at all with someone, or was it as usual pure ladder for practice?
Uh, with the Lulu, it was just ladder. I didn't scrim with it. I was scrimming with different decks. I just wanted basically to try it in different environment.
Alright, so just ladder, all in all.
Yeah.
Awesome. This was a quick interview. We were on point. We discussed about everything. And I asked this in one of the previous interviews, but what do you expect to see in this seasonal on EU? What should people pay attention to?
I think the most played decks will be Azir Aurelia, Plunder, and Shen Jarvan. I think these three will be the most played in the EU.
Why no Sivir Ionia, for example, or why not Lee?
I think Lee is really good deck, but I don't think many people can pilot it and are confident enough to play it. And with the Severe, Yeah, I think that will be the fourth deck. I think it had a decline lately, but yeah, I think it will be still played a lot.
Alright, awesome. And since you already managed to go through the tournament, since you managed to win it already, which would be some advice for the people that are trying maybe the season for the first time or still going into the seasonal second or third time or whatever?
I think take each game as it would be the game in the beginning of the rounds, so you are not stressed out and not doing dumb mistakes.
Makes sense. And with that, we are at the end of the interview. Thank you for the advice regarding the decks, regarding the seasonal as well. So, you know our traditional question. What would you like to say to the people as you're last thing in this interview?
Well, again, thanks everyone for rooting for me, and yeah, I hope I will do well in seasonals and then in Worlds qualifiers.
Awesome. Those are the expectations from you, probably from anyone. Thank you, Thomas, for being around. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this interview. You've got a lot of juice to prepare for this seasonal. Until next time, and probably when maybe you are going to be invited here, see you.